My name is Julie Turney, and this is the HR Sound Off podcast show, the show created for HR and business professionals to discuss pertinent topics and trends as it relates to our professions. We're going to have amazing conversations with HR professionals from all over the world, get to learn their origin stories. How did they get into this profession? What do they love about being here? And how they want to set the record straight on that one misconception that really drives them crazy about our profession. Are you ready? I'm ready. Then let's sound off. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the HR Sound Off podcast show. I am your host, Julie Turney. If it sounds like I am laughing, I am. Oh my gosh, listen, I am so excited to bring this episode to you today. And I was just having a good laugh with my guest before we got started. So when we started, I started in full laugh. Forgive me. How are you doing today, everyone? I hope you're doing great. Today, I'm so excited to welcome to my show. I've had them here before, but individually. Today, I get them together. Wendy, Dailey, and Jon Thurmond, my favorite HR podcast hosts. How are you doing?
Hey, Julie.
Why am I still laughing?
Well, you've got us going. You got us going.
You got us going.
We're done.
Julie, I think that's the great thing about doing this is that we can, and it is, no matter how difficult things may be, it is always a joy to be able to spend time together. And yes, you got the package deal this time,
yes.
Yes.
Even better, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
It's always a pleasure to have you guys on the show and to be on your show. Done 2 episodes so far.
Yes.
And I'm so proud of you guys. You are amazing. And I want you to know, I love your show. I love the guests you bring to the show. I love the fact that you're willing to share your guests with me, and that you're always willing to give me insights and help me through my journey, whether it's podcasting or HR. You guys are always there. And so today, this show really is in honor of great HR people. And I couldn't think of 2 better people to have this show with than you guys. So let me tell
you. You're trying to make me cry. And
I know. We're going straight from...
We're just laughing. How did we go from laughing to crying?
I mean, crying from good things, but come on.
Yeah.
It is so sweet.
I made Jon Thurmond cry? Wow.
Wendy's seen it once, I think.
I think we'll tweet about this later.
Oh, yeah. No one's gonna be able to understand the show because we're just laughing and crying through the whole thing.
But you know what? This is one of those shows, guys, where people get to realize that, HR is such a great place and there are really great people in this space and we have a good laugh.
Yes, we do. We like to laugh.
Yeah.
We like to have fun.
We love to have fun. One of the things that I really love about you guys and that we all have in common is that we love comics. And we all love Marvel.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are listening and cannot see the video right now, go over to my YouTube channel where there will be a snippet of this video. But you'll see in the background, in Wendy's background, you cannot miss how much Wendy loves Marvel.
Or my husband loves Marvel. And he's gotten me into it. Yes, we are Marvel fans here. I can't.
And Star Wars.
And Star Wars, yes. We've got the gamut covered, and then of course Wonder Woman.
Yes, can't forget.
We've got Wonder Woman, and Jon keeps me filled with those. And I need to do some redecorating in my office. It's this part looks fine. You can't see what's on the sides of me. But I really need to make this a permanent home for me since I am working at home now. But I've got this great pencil drawing that Jon got for me last year that I want to put up. It's of Wonder Woman, and I want it up above the Captain America shield. So, awesome. But I need to, like I said, I need to do some reorganizing in here before I start putting stuff on the walls.
Yeah, nice. I promised you that one of these days I'm going to borrow that Captain America shield.
Kind of expensive to ship vibranium, but we'll see what we can do.
Yeah. We need to figure that out. We definitely do. John, who's your favorite Marvel character?
My favorite Marvel character.
Mm-hmm.
Do I go mainstream or do I go obscure?
Do you,
or
John?
More obscure?
Do what
I tell you who
John.
I really like is the original cowboy Ghost Rider. Pre Johnny Blaze. Now, and I maintain that Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance is one of the greatest comic book movies ever made. Everybody hates it, but that movie's is so bananas crazy, over the top. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Yeah,
Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider. That and the second one, it's perfection. Yeah, it's perfection. And when he jumps on that 4-wheel like ATV or the big truck, and it's a flaming spirit truck. Yeah, man. Like I remember when I was traveling for work, I'd be in hotels and I'd turn on FX or whatever channel's on, and Ghost Rider: Spirits of Vengeance. I'm sitting there for the rest, however long it's got. I'm watching it. That movie is insane, and that's one thing you mentioned. I think a little earlier this week about Shang-Chi. Unfortunately, I have not seen it. I will say, I know I am all in on Hawkeye though. That show is phenomenal.
Oh yes,
And let me tell you, if you really want to even appreciate it more, go read My Life as a Weapon, which came out in about 2012. So much of the show is based on that comic.
Okay.
And what's really cool in that series, the show talks about, or it hints at least in the first couple episodes about Clint's hearing loss. There's an issue of that book that's entirely written in sign language.
Wow.
Oh wow.
It's one of my favorite comics of all time. So I'm all in on that show. I've heard nothing but good things about Shang-Chi, which is great.
Yes.
Because sometimes people get divisive about these things, and they're getting much more BC and D-list characters at this point because you've seen all the majors at this point. But I love that. I love all these obscure, those really off the wall things. Like I said, the Ghost Rider that's a cowboy that shows up. If you remember in the first Ghost Rider, at the end of that movie where he's in the graveyard, and I think it's not Sam Is it Sam Waterston? I can't know. Whoever it is, it is the grave digger, and he comes out and he becomes Ghost Rider. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
You've lost 2/3 of your audience already. Congrats, Julie.
Yeah.
Like they're all turning off.
Yeah, they're all like, oh, what are they talking about today?
Yeah.
What are they talking about today? Although, we were watching Hawkeye, and Jessie was half watching, and all of a sudden she hears, Hawkeye's new sidekick, Kate Bishop, and Jessie jumps up. She goes, Kate's a superhero? So, sorry, Hawkeye, but in my house, your sidekick is Kate Bishop instead of Kate Bishop.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Listen to me. I'm so impressed with what the Marvel universe is really from a movie perspective, but I've always loved Marvel comics. I've been buying Marvel comics since I was 9, going 10.
Oh wow.
I've always loved Captain Marvel. Always.
Nice.
She's just so good. Like,
but which Captain Marvel? Monica Rambeau, or which one? Because that's the beauty of these things. I always tell I used to have friends that get angry about this stuff, particularly like in comics that things happen and people, do you do this, that, or the other? I'm like, it's comics. None of this stuff is you can make it whatever you want.
Yes.
Whatever you want. And the movies are one person's interpretation, but that doesn't mean it's any different for me, And I was at a comic book convention once where somebody asked me about, do I like DC or Marvel better? And I said Marvel. They said, why? And I said, because they had all the properties, which was G.I. Joe, Transformers, Masters of the Universe, Heathcliff. They had all these Muppet Babies. Yes. They had all these, and I'm like, that's why I like them so much more, because I thought they did better jobs with the property type. And people were booing me, like people were angry, and I'm like,
sad.
You ever seen the William Shatner on Saturday Night Live when he's telling the Trekkies to get a life at a comic book show or the convention? That's what this was like. It's like, you people need to go outside, and, discover a podcast, or I don't know, find another hobby, because
It's true. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I think that one of the things that we could really appreciate about Marvel is they always keep you guessing. They will always keep you guessing, and they're very thorough. When you know that they're covering something, they leave no stone unturned. So, like, for example, when I watched Shang-Chi, and I'm not giving away anything, but I always love when a Marvel movie ends, all the stuff that happens behind the scenes.
Post credits.
Listen to me. When you guys go and watch that, it's gonna leave you going, I am so excited.
The mid-credit scene, when we watched it, because Rocky's watched it a couple of times. I watched it with him, and we got to the mid-credit scene.
I've watched it 6 times already.
And like halfway through mid-credit, I was just like, but, and my husband was like, "Did you just notice that?" I'm like, call me slow, but yeah, I did just notice it. So, listen, but we won't
spoil it.
But I do have to say, but Maggie and I were having debates over whether the dragon in Shang-Chi was better than the dragon from Raya, which is a Disney.
Yeah, I've watched Raya
movie.
I've watched.
It's Raya. Real. I really. What I enjoyed it.
I think the dragon in Shang-Chi was better than the dragon in Raya.
Yes. Yeah. Maggie said the dragon in Raya was the Disney princessified version of the dragon.
Yeah.
Well, neither of them compare to Fin Fang Foom, which if you haven't watched MODOK on Hulu yet.
I don't have
Hulu. About that.
Oh, okay.
I don't have Hulu.
I don't know where it would be internationally, but MODOK is this crazy stop motion thing where MODOK is what is it? Organism designed only to kill. So it's basically a big head on a little cart that goes around. All he's trying to do is kill everybody. Well, MODOK is voiced by Patton Oswalt, and it's brilliant. He's got a family. He's married to a woman. He has a son who looks like a human, and he's got a daughter that's a little MODOK.
I need to search that. Go to my laptop to search that right now.
he interacts with like Iron Man and a couple other heroes during the show. It is so ridiculous, and there are so many inside jokes in the show. It is not for everybody. It is not the big MCU entertainment. But it's got a lot of heart, and it gets kind of dark. He and his wife are getting divorced, and it's got a lot of subtext. But it's one of the funniest things I saw this year. Yeah, MODOK. It is MODOK. And there's one now called Hit Monkey that I hear is
heard about that.
Yeah, where the monkey is literally trained by assassins to become an assassin himself. And again, obscure little character in the Marvel universe, but Hit Monkey is also on Hulu.
Yes.
I've heard nothing but positive things about it. I know a couple of people that worked on it, animation wise, a couple of the artists on it. So
I love to see Disney like bring all of that Marvel stuff to the Disney Channel. Like they've brought some to Disney Plus. I've seen them bring some stuff, and I know they're taking their time and they're gradually bringing stuff. But I'd love to see them bring all that good old stuff that we used to love to sit and watch, like when we were younger, right?
You can find a lot of it. You can find so much of it on Disney Plus. I mean, we sat down and watched SpiderMan and His Amazing Friends. We binged that because my husband's a big SpiderMan fan, and we watched that. And then Superhero Squad, which we used to watch when Maggie was little, and I was just like, this is crazy.
So Saturday morning cartoons all over again, right?
Yes. Let's go get some Fruit Loops and sit down in front of the TV.
For sure. Now that we've kind of goofed out about Marvel, let's talk a little bit about you guys.
That should probably tell you a lot about us, though, just with the Marvel conversation.
I know, right? All three of us. But HR Social Hour, you guys are at a really pivotal moment in creating this beautiful podcast. Now, I know you both individually told your stories about how you met. And since then, I would have gained more audience members. So now that you're together, just share with everyone like how you guys met and how you created HR Social Hour.
You want to start, Wendy?
Sure. So Yeah, it's funny because the original tweet where we kind of came up with that the chat popped up, well, it would have been in June of this year. It popped up as a memory, and so that was almost 5 years ago now. 4.5 years ago now. And I know Jon did some digging to find the first time we interacted together on Twitter, which was even longer ago. So Jon and I met on Twitter. We have some weird opportunities where we could have met in person before that. We were both in Richmond, Virginia at the same time. I lived there for a number of years. But just didn't cross paths. Richmond's a big city. But yeah, we met on Twitter. And then in 2016, we were at the National SHRM Conference in DC at the same time. Ran into each other at the expo hall, which again, that's kind of random for the two of us to run into each other there. But everyone knows Jon's a big guy. He's hard to miss if you see him standing anywhere. But the best part was when I got on the elevator in my hotel the next morning, Jon was there. So we happened to be at the same hotel. And so we walked to the conference together that morning and the next morning, and were able to, chat and connect, and had a great time, great conversations as we were walking. And, that was awesome. And then when the next year came around and neither one of us was going to the conference, that's when Social Hour was born, when we both had FOMO because we weren't going to be in New Orleans. And so Jon had the idea that we should host our own happy hour. So, and here we are. I'll let Jon talk about the podcast, because that was his idea. He brought me along on that one.
Let's hear it, Jon.
We started with the initial chats not tied to the national conference in June of 2017. And I really enjoyed it. Wendy really enjoyed it. We had like 60 people show up from 9 countries, which was mind blowing to us that many people. And it was funny because we were getting notes the next day about, hey, you're on the big boards, which is the social media boards at the event. Like, you're all on the big boards, you're not even here. That's kind of bananas. And so we did June and July or August or so. I'm like, Wendy, that was really fun. Why don't we do this again? Because it was cool, and we had fun doing it, and it's an alternative to the other things that were out there. So we launched Social Hour. It was the HR Social Hour was the one good tag at the time that we thought of. We've always said if we had it to do over again, we might go with HR Super Friends, but we're not rebranding this far in. So we launched Social Hour, and we're doing once a month, fourth Sunday of the month, and we were getting some traction there. Did 3 or 4, and I called Wendy. She was at a national event, and I was driving from Richmond to Pittsburgh for work, and had a lot of. I was on speakerphone, so don't worry, I wasn't too distracted. But we're talking, and I've been very open about. I've been podcasting for a long time. I'm a huge fan of the medium, but I've been podcasting just fun stuff, 80s, which is why, yes, if you want to hear me talk about obscure other stuff, you can go listen to the other show I'm on. But I told Wendy, I said, look, I really want to do a podcast about what we do, but I want it to be different. What and I want to have a co-host. Would you be interested in that? Because I really like what we're doing with this chat, and I think it's just the next thing we could try. And so we talked about it, and that's where we came up with the concept of kind of the tenets of the show being, about the power of connection and giving back, if it's to the HR community at large, and ultimately the power of your network. And those would be kind of, how do we focus on those things and make it about the people? So we said, okay, we'll interview people from the chat. Well, that makes sense, right? We'll just talk to our friends that are on the chat. So that was January of 2018. We hit the record button for the first time. That was with our pal Steve Brown. So I figured we'll start with somebody everybody knows. That'd be a good way to start. Then we can have these other people that maybe you don't know, or maybe they're not we're not going to have everybody on that level, because we didn't want that. We wanted to talk to our friends. And let's face it, there are amazing people out there doing amazing things for each other, for their businesses, for their, whoever the communities they serve. There's a lot of people out there doing cool stuff, and we ought to know about it. So lo and behold, we started talking to all these different people that were part of our community, and it just kind of steamrolled. And we said, okay, we'll do 50. That'd be cool. Knowing the average show lasts 10 episodes. Well, that was January of 18. It is now December of 21.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to release our numbered episode 200 on December 23rd.
Yes.
And it'll be our 265th or 6th total show that we've put out since 2018.
Wow.
And that blossomed into that. We've had downloads in 125 countries. We've been able to meet people like you and have international guests. We did an entire month of UK guests, called it the British Invasion. I didn't care if people thought it was funny or not. I loved it. I loved the idea. I just wanted to call it something silly to me.
Yeah.
But as we talked about before we started recording, our community has just blossomed throughout all these things. We were really fortunate that during pandemic we got to do things we didn't plan on doing with the community, but it nurtured relationships. It helped people in times of struggle. And, I like you said, we're at the end of the year, we're tired.
We are.
It's a lot of work, but again, it's amazing as we sit back and start to assess and say, holy cow, 260 shows, that's at least 260 people we've talked to. And it's really more than that. All the places we've gotten to go, literally, physically, traveling and getting to speak and record and do things, and the sponsors that have been so amazing to help us and want us help the community out. It's mind-boggling, Julie. I mean, I sit here all the time and just I tell Wendy, I don't tell Wendy enough how thankful I am for her that she said yes when I said, hey, let's just go hit the record button and see what happens. You just don't know. You just never know.
Wendy, that's Jon telling you that he's grateful for you.
Well, and I've said it too, and I don't say it enough, but I am grateful for Jon and bringing me along on this. And, we're both thankful for the community and, and our families for supporting what we're doing here and making the allowances that are needed. It's kind of funny because my husband and I were talking about it, and, last year when we didn't travel anywhere, even he was kind of like, I kind of got used to you being on the road some. You're here all the time now. I'm like, hey, well, yeah. I
need to go away.
Separate, sometimes fondness makes absence and all of that good stuff. But but it is, it is nice to have the support from our friends and our family that allow this to continue growing, because we couldn't do it. We can't do it alone. We can't do it. And we're not doing it just for us, but as long as it continues to be fun and we get something out of it, anytime we make a connection, when we can introduce Julie, you to Minda Hearts, and we can connect people with jobs and make those different connections. It just, okay, now we're gonna, getting weepy again.
We're gonna cry.
But
now we're moving from laughing to happy crying.
But it just shows that what we do is important.
Yes.
And it's not, just another podcast. It's not just another HR podcast, but it is our community. And so when we see good things happen to our community, it makes us feel good. And when bad things happen, we feel for them and we want to reach out and do what we can just to have that community. We're human. We need that community.
Absolutely, we definitely do. Community is everything.
Yeah,
it's everything to me. I come from a very big family on my father's side, on my mother's side. Family is everything to me, and because family is everything to me, community has always been everything to me. When I started seeking out HR community and I found you guys, I was like, oh my goodness, it's so great. Like, this is what community is really about: the willingness and openness to share knowledge, experiences, to be able to laugh and cry together. Like, that's what really makes a great community. And I think as HR professionals, we get bashed a lot in the public eye, as in with employees and employers. Like, everyone always has something to say about HR that's negative. And this is a side of HR that I really want people to see, because while there are a lot of us that really aren't doing great things, that aren't being great at, or good at what we do, there are a lot of us out there who are, and that really care. And you and Jon, I'm so glad I found you. I am so glad I found you. I appreciate you guys so much. I love your show. I'm
glad you found us too.
Yeah, thank you. I just love what you guys have put together, and that you've extended it outside of your podcast to really make meaningful connections with your community on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And I want to talk a little bit about the HR Social Hour monthly Twitter trivia. I love it. Now, I always kick myself when I miss it. But then I go, when I see like other people still answering in the week, I go, man, I could still get on this. But it's so great when you're doing it in the moment with everybody else. I've never seen anyone do this before. So let's talk a little bit about the trivia hour. Like, what made you guys think to put that together? And maybe just share with our audience like how they can be a part of it as well.
So when you say trivia, we're actually talking about the chats, right?
Yes.
As opposed,
yes.
Okay. So because we did trivia nights, but that made us tired.
The trivia nights too. Yes, that's so
true. The trivia nights
got me through COVID. I'm gonna tell you that.
So trivia nights and trivia nights and movie nights we're not doing so much anymore. And part of that was, again, I think at the time it was something we enjoyed doing it, and it was impactful. We saw though that as things improved in a lot of places, we just weren't getting the participation, and that's okay. Like, it's go do something else. The chats though, when we started, we just did the once a month, and then in 2020, I said, hey Wendy, I don't know, but what do you think about doubling up? Like, there are very few chats left in our space. We kind of knew we had a time, but like, let's double it up. That gives us an opportunity to maybe we could start bringing in third chair, somebody else to help us with topics and kind of facilitate conversation. So we did that. Interestingly enough, we're only doing one chat in December. It'll be on December 12th, 7 p.m. Eastern time. That will be our 70th chat.
What?
Since we started.
That's amazing.
Yep.
I just did some numbers. Well, I was approached recently about co-hosting an event somewhere else. While we are very appreciative of those opportunities, I do want to make it very clear in case somebody's listening, we don't necessarily do things for free for people we don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
And when you come to me and say, would you co-host? Well, there is something there for it. And I can say, here's our track record. Here's what we've done, and here's the community we've built. But anyhow, so the chat though takes place on Twitter, second and fourth Sundays of each month, using the hashtag HR Social Hour. We come up with a topic, or if we have a co-host that comes up with something, or sponsor that wants to participate and sponsors the event, they'll come up with a topic, and we build the questions together. You're always going to get the same first question. That is, what's in your glass?
Yeah.
And that can be literally or figuratively, philosophically, however you want to interpret it. Cool, no problem. But you take part during that time. If you're not familiar with Twitter chats, a question comes out, Q1, what's in your glass? Hashtag HR Social Hour. You would reply, A1, I'm having a Coke. Hashtag HR Social Hour, whatever it is. But during that hour, we're moderating that conversation, where I'm welcoming people as they come in, and then you're retweeting, sharing, and what have you, and then you're responding. And sometimes people go off and have side conversations or what have you. Yeah. But we do it for that hour, and then I collapse at the end, because it is incredibly. It's crazy. And Wendy knows too. It is incredibly taxing. Yeah. It's a mental gymnastics to facilitate. Sometimes we may have 55, 60, 70 people in there.
Yeah.
And you're getting almost 1,000 tweets in an hour. we're touching all those somehow. And so we, usually it ties into a wrestling event being on. And I rekindled my love of professional wrestling during COVID.
You told me that last time.
8 o'clock's over. Like I turn it off and I'm watching wrestling. But anyhow, no, the idea though is that we want people, because we know people can't make that hour necessarily.
Yeah.
We'll leave it open for the week or 3 or 4 days. And then Wendy, we'll able to pulls them all together into a wakelet, and then we share that and say, hey, here's what the conversation that was going on about film. Like, so our last conversation was about thankfulness, and what are you thankful for personally, professionally, and what are you looking forward to in the coming year? I can't remember, Wendy. The questions all blur because again, 70 chats in. We've done 70 of those. Right. We don't. We do track. We have a spread. We've got a document with every single chat in it. So we do have the historical reference. But the chats have been so much fun. We've met so many people, and we know we have people that only go to chats, and we know we have people that only listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
And I love to.
And some of us do both.
But we're all yes, and some do both, and that's how I told Wendy, as far as I know, we are the only Twitter chat to ever become a podcast. I've been able to speak at podcast conferences to that effect, and every single person that looks at me is like, I've never heard of that. So we're gonna lay claim to it, and if somebody tells me otherwise, great. I'd love to talk to them. Yeah. But it was this thing that was kind of ours. It was the extension. And we were able to talk about those things, in there. But the chats, learned so much, met so many interesting people. The topics that people have started bringing to us helps us, because it is nice to have an outside perspective, or, hey, I'm really struggling with, would you all be willing to talk about it? And what the great part Wendy can tell you is we can say, hey, you want to talk about it? Great. You help us. Yeah. You help facilitate the conversation. And that, I always used to say, I used to get really nervous when we used to run the other chat that was out there, and I would assist when no one was around. They would allow me to run that event, and that was the only time I ever got nervous. It was like, is anybody going to show up? Yeah. And how's this thing going to go? But now I know we have a group of hardcore people. We don't have anyone, as far as I know, that's been able to attend all 70. Right. But there are people that are there a lot. And there are people that when you come back, guess what? When you come back, we're going to acknowledge it. Yeah. Hey, it's great to have you back. Like, thanks for, it's great to see you. What's up? Like, where you been? Yeah. We claim, we try to be the most welcoming chat out there, because it is about building the community. And, everybody's respectful. We don't have a lot of disagreements, but when there's disagreement, people are respectful about it, because that's what the level of expectation we have. Yeah.
Absolutely. It must be really hard to navigate that, and just hearing you talk about it made me a little dizzy. It is. But I'm so proud of you guys for doing that and putting that together. And I hope that as long as you're able to do it, you continue to facilitate it, because it really is an amazing opportunity to not just answer the questions, but see how other people answer the questions, to be able to respond on how they answer your stuff. And I remember last Sunday, I think one of the questions was about what's your favorite Christmas movie? Yep. I think that was it. Yep. Home Alone 1 and 2, hands down for me, and how the Grinch Stole Christmas. I forgot to put that one, but those are my 3 solid go-to. I do watch It's a Wonderful Life every year. Yep. There's just something about that movie that makes me cry all the time, but I love it. But you see the Grinch Stole Christmas, I could watch that in any version. I recently I really love the cartoon version that was done by Benedict Cumberbatch. I think that was the last one on Netflix. That was
the last one. I have not watched that all the way through.
Hilarious. I love it.
I need to give it another shot. I've tried the live action one several times, and
with Jim Carrey.
I can't. I'm a purist when it comes to the Grinch.
Yes.
The holiday special, the Looney Tunes Tex Avery version is my absolute favorite, for sure. So yeah.
It's so good, because sometimes you get to see things I don't know. Still seeing those people who say Die Hard is a great Christmas movie. I'm like, what was in Die Hard that was about Christmas? I'm so lost. Go ahead, Jon.
It takes place at Christmas. It is a Christmas movie. And at one time, and I think I mentioned this on the chat, we considered making that part of our question connection. So when you're asked, and those who have not listened to the show, our question connection is the second half of the show. Everyone gets the same questions. We change them up about every 50 episodes. But at one point, we actually thought about do we add is Die Hard a Christmas movie to that list, because people's responses, it's so divisive. It's so funny.
So divisive.
So
I'm
funny.
so glad, Julie, because I'm there with you.
Yeah, because I'm just there with you. Name alone, Die Hard, and when you think
it takes place at Christmas during a Christmas party, how can it not be a Christmas movie?
And if that's the criteria, that's great. But that also means Batman 2, Iron Man 3, Lethal Weapon,
Christmas movies.
All of those are all Christmas movies, which nobody talks about those other ones. We just get Die Hard. So
I think because the Christmas, there's so much more. Yes, and you could argue that those are based in Christmas. You know, does that make it a Christmas movie? I don't know.
Batman 2 has the tree lighting ceremony that gets taken down by Penguin. So
my lasting memory of Batman Returns is seeing it in the theater and the sound went out.
Oh,
and this is like 10 minutes in, and some guy behind us, I was with my little sister, and all of a sudden this guy behind us starts doing all the voices, and he's just making stuff up. And so like Batman's riding in the Batmobile, and he's like, "Hey Alfred, I'm heading home." Alfred's like, "Yes, sir, I'll be here ready to." And this dude is doing this for like 3 or 4 minutes, and everybody's in hysterics because he's just making up stuff, and it's just having this conversation with himself. And finally, they turn the screen off, and they come out, and they're like, "Listen, we're sorry, the sound's busted," and they gave us all tickets to come back the next day because they said we can't get it fixed. My sister and I went back the next day. I was hoping that guy was there again, because if something happened, I'm like, he was the most entertaining part.
Oh my goodness.
I want to take the opportunity though to say though the greatest Christmas movie of all time is A Christmas Story.
Yep.
It's the greatest movie ever made, I maintain. And if you are familiar with that movie, it's all about a little boy getting a BB gun it's supposed to be like in the 40s by then, but it really took place like in the 20s. It's Gene Shepard is the author, wrote a series of short stories that were published in Playboy magazine in the 60s. And the whole thing is based, the movie is based on it in this book. It's called In God We Trust, All Others Pay Cash, which is the sign on the bar when Ralph, as a grown man, goes to his hometown, and Flick, who's his friend from, as a kid, owns the bar, and that's the sign at the bar. So anyhow, it's absolutely the most amazing. And part of it for me is very special. My uncle's name is Ralph. My dad's his little brother. They're of that same vintage. So it was about my uncle wanted a BB gun at that age. There's a lot of, grew up in that era. My grandfather was a truck driver. It was there's a lot of connection there. But I absolutely adore that. In Cleveland, you can actually go to the Christmas Story house and stay there.
Oh, wow.
And you can you can have a BB gun hiding behind a Christmas tree. The whole it is the one thing we've not done as a family that I really want to do.
Well,
and now
that is awesome. Make it
happen. My children are adults now, in the eyes of the law. So it's even
can't make them do it.
Well, no, I think they want to, but it's literally I am the old man, and I want to go to the Chinese restaurant and order the duck with the neck and have them chop it anyway. Christmas Story, folks, greatest film ever made.
It is a good movie. We like that. We enjoy that movie here as well. One of our favorites. I would, Jon, if you haven't, I would encourage you to watch 8-Bit Christmas. It's on HBO with Neil Patrick Harris, and it has very strong A Christmas Story vibe. I really enjoyed it, and it took me back to the 80s because the kid wants a Nintendo for Christmas and is trying all these ways to get a Nintendo for Christmas.
I unfortunately do not have HBO Max, so I will have to find alternate means to get to it. But I will say, for all the love I have for A Christmas Story, A Summer Story is also very good. It's a very obscure movie that was filmed much later, but it's Gene Shepard's story. Okay. It's other stories with Ralph, but it takes place in the summer. A Summer Story is also very good. Christmas Story 2 will never be seen in this house. I refuse to have anything attached to it because it's hot garbage from the outset. It's
John, you sound very
no
passionate
chance
about that.
I would never watch one single second of that movie. As soon as I saw the preview, like, up yours, forget it, no chance. You are not going to sully Gene Shepard's memory with this kind of garbage. But those other things, and part of the reason I'm such a fan is that Ralphie and Gene Shepard was, as a kid, he was a tuba player, which I was a tuba player. So if you really want to go deep, you can go on YouTube and you can find the American Playhouse, which was an old PBS show. American Playhouse did the first Gene Shepard Ralphie story. Matt Dillon plays Ralphie.
Oh my
Matt
gosh.
Dillon's probably 18 years old when he's making this thing, and he's in the marching band playing a sousaphone. and it's also based on these stories. It's from another set of stories that Shepard had collected. But some of the stuff in what the Bumpus Hounds Live Next Door, the old man, they set off fireworks.
Wow.
You want to talk about being in tears? When I read the story about Ralphie and the marching band marching down the street, and the conductor, the guy, and they used to have maces like back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, those big, big sticks. And he's marching down the street leading the band, and he spun the mace and it hit a power line and just blew out all the power lines and sparks going everywhere. I'm in tears reading this book. And I'll never forget. I've never cried reading a book laughing so hard.
Wow.
Anyway, in God
That's
we trust,
awesome.
all others pay cash. Get all kinds of recommendations.
Check it out. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I have some lightning round questions for you guys.
Okay.
Yeah. Because you need to see how it feels when you do it to other people.
Yeah.
So, favorite episode, John?
Of our show? I
Oh.
would say the show that I'm most proud of that nobody listened to was our episode with Miss Valerie Condos Field, the retired UCLA gymnastics coach. One of the greatest speakers I've seen in many years. She's the one that made me cry and dance, which you would never see me do that. Cancer survivor, got to be friends with the late John Wooden and learned a lot of coaching skills from him, and just, absorbed stuff from him. One of the nicest people we've ever talked to. She literally got off an interview with USA Today to talk to us.
Wow.
Mind blowing. And again, it was because her whole speech at that presentation was about making the ask and just saying, be willing to step out there and do it. And we did. We made the ask of Namely, who was who had sponsored the event. Namely got us in touch with her management. It's the only time we've dealt with a management person. But yeah, Valerie Condos Field, Miss Val, still one of my favorites, because it's also the most outside of HR that we've ever done.
Yeah.
Wendy, your favorite too?
My favorite is oh gosh, like picking amongst your children, right?
I know.
I'm gonna say it is the HR Wonder Woman episode with Minda Harts. Anne and I had so much fun talking to Minda that first time, talking about her book and, kind of being able to grow it there and learn so much from her. So, excuse me. Yeah, I think that was my favorite.
All right. Nice. Next one. What's one of the biggest things that you've learned about podcasting that you didn't appreciate before doing this? Wendy.
How detailed the editing part is. How you can get into just those little nooks and crannies of the audio to smooth it out, to make it sound better, to take out some, I don't like to take out all the verbal pauses because I think that can sound fake, but and I do it to myself mostly, if I feel like I'm stuttering too much or too many of them, take a few of them out, take out those long pauses, and just the magic that can happen with that. Because I've been able to take that to my day job, and we are recording audio to do recruitment content. So I think that's the piece that I learned that has just kind of, that really surprised me.
Okay, thank you. John?
Having come from a co-host spot on another show where all I did was get on and talk, certainly didn't understand all the technical behind the scenes part. I think what I've learned it is very easy to start this. It is very hard to maintain it.
That's a powerful one. Okay, last but not least, favorite foul up bleep blunder you guys have ever made?
Well, let's see. We've had a lost episode and we had a lost track. No, I will tell it because we did tell it somewhere else. So if you've heard this, if you've heard it.
Yeah.
We had it, and this blew everybody's minds because I knew it would. Our original episode with Lori Rudiman, which I don't know, was way, way back.
Uh-huh.
We used to use Skype, and at one point my Skype dropped out. And so they kept going. I got back on and we recorded. Well, the second half of my track didn't record.
Mm-hmm.
So I had 2/3 of a conversation. I was embarrassed. I didn't want to ask Lori to make time to go back. So I went in, I edited the show with what I had. I listened to it 2 or 3 times, and then I went back and listened through and dropped myself in to the rest of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Wendy didn't know. Lori didn't know. Nobody knew until I told them.
Wow.
And then Wendy knew, and like 2 other people that I'm very close to that wouldn't say anything to anybody about it. And I told Lori when she came back for 150, that was my big drop, was that her show, I literally dropped probably 10 minutes of my part back in because it was gone. It is, I maintain it's the greatest editing job I've ever done. Because if you listen to that first show, you will never know that I'm just inserting myself.
I'm going back and listening to that.
Go listen. You won't.
You will not
be a powerhouse, Jon.
Nobody knew. Nobody had an idea, but I did. I sat there and listened, and I would write some notes, and I put it on, and I had it in my headset, and then I would just drop myself in, and I recorded a whole track, and then put it all together.
Wow.
If I had never said anything, I could have used that to be my big drop in 200 as the big shock. Nobody had a clue.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
I'm most proud of that.
Final question, guys. What's next for Wendy and Jon?
Well, weren't you setting up some sort of conference in the Caribbean for us?
In Barbados, to be specific.
Hey, yeah, I'll come to Barbados. I think that's kind of for me. I'm kind of waiting to see what 2022 brings for us. I know we were kind of hoping 21 would bring back the live conferences and a lot of gathering back together, and that we all know that didn't happen. 2022 as of right now is looking almost the same with some of the COVID variants coming out again. But I'm really hoping that we can get together in person again. I really would like to be able to see people one-on-one, face-to-face. This, video is awesome. I love that we've had it. It's been so wonderful. But even this introvert's ready for some FaceTime with folks. I agree with you. So we keep putting it out there. If someone's got a conference, we would love to come and be a part of it. International listeners, we would love to be a part of your conferences too. We're not just we're okay traveling outside of the States for events. So that's my hope for 2022. Hint, hint. But I can't wait to see who we meet. Because we've got more episodes to do and more folks to connect with.
Nice. Thank you so much, Wendy. Jon?
I want to continue to maintain the quality and caliber of what we've done. I want to continue to see this community grow like we talked about earlier. You just keep talking to new people. I had a call with somebody overseas yesterday to figure out, hey, how do we partner on something? I really want to do more and more internationally because I think there's a lot of power in that. And as I continue to say, and you'll hear it anywhere I get a chance to say it, while the laws and the issues, those kind of issues are going to be specific to where you are, the people stuff is the same. It doesn't matter. We hear it everywhere we've gone, and we've had opportunities to present to HR professionals in India, for example. We never thought we'd be on a call where we talked about what we saw and we're dealing with, and them asking questions, those kind of things. So I want to continue to maintain those types of things. Would love to be in front of audiences again. The idea of podcasting, having gear set up, we had some things set up where we were going to be podcast affiliates of different events. And we certainly would be open to that. And I tell you, the other thing I want to do that's not social hour related, I really look forward to speaking at another virtual reality event, because that's hand down the weirdest thing I've ever gotten to do. And it was so,
do you know
so much fun.
Collier? You need to talk to Katrina.
I know Katrina's name in passing. We connected years ago, but we never really
need to make that connection. She's done a couple of virtual events. Her and Enrique Rubio. So
I putting on those goggles and have the avatar of me that looks like it's it's a little, like, I asked them could they make it bigger because it's not representative of me, but it really was. It was I told Wendy when I did it, it was probably the most surreal. It was when somebody contacts you and says, would you like to speak at a virtual reality conference? And you go, okay. And then, you get the gear and you start it was so much fun. It was, and thankfully nobody was standing in the living room while I was doing it. Nobody got to see me doing this thing. And,
that's the video I want to see. I want to see the video of John.
Thankfully there's no video of that.
Such a shame.
Right.
But it was also crazy to see that. It looked like a video game. Like it's not just on me, it pans the audience and it's shot like a movie. And I'm thinking, this is, boy, if every presentation looked this cool, like, wow. But I really hope I get to do that again, because that was insane fun. It really was.
Nice. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much, guys, for taking the time to be here today, to share your stories. That's given just a good catch up and a good conversation between HR, comrades, family, community. I really wish you guys all the best. And I know you guys are going to have an amazing 2022. And I thank you so much for being here. Tell everyone where they can find you on social media.
Find me at jonthurmond.com for all things Jon Thurmond, and the show is at hrsocialhourpodcast.podbean.com. Or whatever platform you're listening to this beautiful show, you're going to be able to find us there too. Please check it out if you haven't. Julie was recently a return guest, as she mentioned, but we talk to practitioners and people around the industry about them. And I would like to say this before I get to go, because I heard another podcaster say it, not about HR podcasts, but we're all like Baskin Robbins. There are flavors for everybody. And one of the really cool things that's happened in the last 4 years of doing this is how many more practitioners and peers have gotten out and, like you turned on the mic and you started. So there's more and more flavors available to people.
Yep.
Check stuff out, try them out. We're incredibly thankful for that. But yeah, this is such a tremendous medium and we love being part of it. But find us where you find you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jon. Wendy?
You can find me on mydaileyjourney.com. Dailey, D as in dog, AILEY. And then the second and fourth Sunday of each month, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you'll find me and Jon on Twitter for that twice monthly Twitter chat. So we hope that the folks that listen will join us for our chats as well.
Awesome. And I will definitely include all of these links in the comments of this episode. So I got a surprise for you guys.
Uh-oh.
So I have to tell you.
Oh, I thought it was going to be the cheering voices or whatever, like you used to. Because you didn't get to freak me out at the beginning this time.
No, I didn't get to freak you out at the beginning this time. I'm going to freak you out now. So,
okay.
We agreed that you guys would come on the show when you celebrated your 200th episode. And you are here with me today, celebrating my second anniversary of HR Sound Off podcast show.
Yay.
Today is officially my second 2-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
I can't think of two better people to be celebrating this anniversary with today than you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I said I'd save it for last.
Thank you. It's a better surprise than the people screaming in my ear, Julie, I have to tell you, or the clapping. I appreciate that so much more. Congratulations, though.
Yes.
It's a testament to what you've done with yourself and with the guests and the stuff you are producing, the content you're producing. It is so impactful to so many. And that's, as we always said, we wanted to introduce cool people to cool people. Yep. We've gotten to do that. I know you're getting to do that. And we're all very fortunate that we have the platforms and the voices that we have, and we're the flavors that we are. I'm kind of partial to chocolate chip, but congratulations though.
Congratulations, Julie. I love it.
Oh, thank you so much, guys. Yeah, I really appreciate you so much. Thank you once again for being here. Like, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you people like you guys leading the way and showing the way. I switched to Podbean in October because of you guys. And there are a lot of things like thinking about how I get sponsors for my podcast and that kind of stuff, always bouncing those ideas off of Jon. So like, I wouldn't be here, literally wouldn't be here continuing. I was going to start with 10 episodes and just leave it alone. And then I couldn't. And that's testament to the power that you guys have and the openness of your hearts to share what you have learned and the people that you're having conversations with to continue to inspire people like me to do what I do. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you for joining us in the sound booth today. I hope that you found this information from this episode useful. You can find me on all social media platforms at I am Julie Turney. That's I-am Julie Turney. And you can find this episode or this show on most digital platforms, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, you name it, we're there. Thanks to Rock Solid Entertainment for helping me to put this content together for you. And I will see you again in the next Sound Off.